All right. So I wrote a book on, basically it's a book on Riyadh, right? And I use joyriders to explore the history of the city and also to explore the way the city works today. So joyriders steal cars, they drift them at very high speed on urban highways, and it's a very overwhelming presence when you live in Riyadh for a number of years. I mean, you have to meet them at some point. It's a phenomenon that started somewhere in the 1970s, and it started around, well, the years when basically the oil boom happened in Saudi Arabia. A lot of infrastructure work was being created, a lot of roads were built, and lots of cars were imported, right? So it starts basically as a byproduct of oil expansion in the 1970s. So in the beginning, it was considered a suburban pastime, right? I mean, you would steal, or you would borrow your dad's car and do a few figures on your street, right? With time, it developed into an actual counterculture, with kids driving faster and faster, stealing cars outside of their neighborhood and outside of their family, obviously. And very early on, the city of Riyadh is actually criminalizing this practice. So we're talking about 1982. And then with time, and especially in the 1990s, there is a huge nationwide moral panic that is orchestrated by a number of actors, including Islamic clerics and neighborhood activists who ask for more repression, and then the police starts to crack down more on that phenomenon in the 1990s. So joyriders are a little bit of everybody. When you look at studies that have been conducted by Saudi sociologists, about schools, for instance, to ask kids, who participates, who doesn't. It seems that even though it's a crime, and so like the rate of positive responses would be low, actually a lot of school students are very comfortable saying, well, yes, we do participate in that stuff, and it's fun, and we like it, right? So they're not car buffs in that sense, and they usually do not change the car, they do not modify the car, they do not customize anything. They just steal a car, which is an ordinary car, not a Ferrari or a BMW, but usually a Toyota Camry, a very ordinary car. And then they turn their own, driving practice into a piece of art, right? I mean, so the car is much less important than the driver and what the driver can do. Well, I drove around with joyriders, and the opening scene of the book is a scene of it's an accident scene. I'm following that procession of cars that goes very fast from one side to another, and at some point we drive very close to each other, and we drive 160, 100. We drive at around 160, 170 kilometers per hour, and at that point, somebody does a move that I didn't expect, and so I hit my brakes in a way that I shouldn't have, right? So it's a small accident, nothing too severe, but that was a reminder that basically it's a very dangerous practice. And I rode with a couple of them, but it's not a nice feeling. Not. I think joyriding is really extremely popular right now in Saudi. If if I follow YouTube videos and also news of police operations in the newspapers, it seems that it's going on, and it's not waning. Um, what would it take for joyriding to stop? That's a complicated question. As I see it in the book, joyriding is really the result of widespread economic, socio-economic, and political conditions. So it's not an easy phenomenon to suppress. Yeah, I don't have an answer to that question. It's such a complicated question, and yeah, it's a policy making question, right? And it's really hard to say what should be done for it to stop.